Hello folks, welcome back to another episode of NB Bassing. I'm Donald Patterson, your host, coming to you again this week from beautiful New Brunswick. Beautiful sunny day here, something we've been lacking desperately so far this summer. But we are here again for another week. Before I continue, as always, thanks to the wonderful companies that support me: Fish Bum Outfitters, Carrot Sticks Rods, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, and Hooked on Canadian Angling. And most importantly, thanks to my wife and my son. Without these companies and those two individuals, doing what I do just wouldn't be possible. So, back in tournament mode. It was an interesting day, to say the least, this past Saturday with the NBSFA, New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association, getting back into tournament mode after taking a little break for the spawn, and then the first weekend in July, as always, is our kids tournament. So the big boys and girls got to go back to playing this past Saturday, and in Oromocto, home of CFP Gagetown, right at St. John River and the mouth of the Oromocto River. So a massive body of water for us to explore, and all kinds of opportunities, hopefully, to catch some fish. So I will say that Jason and I had a significantly better result there this year than we did last year for the same event. Last year, I can't remember, we did two regular season events in Oromocto, and I believe last year for the July event we came in with one fish. This year, 54 boats, great turnout. We did manage to grind out 9.75 pounds for a tie for 19th place. Not a money day, but a solid points day nonetheless. Congratulations to Ray McFarlane and Larry Sanford. Where they were fishing, I wish I knew. 15.15 pounds. Besting second place by a little over 2 pounds, so a fairly significant margin of victory. So congratulations to Ray and Larry. Great day for them. Also bringing in the lunker for the day with a 3.8 pound St. John River smallmouth. Like I said, hats off to them. Second place was 13 pounds Lori Dunham, and I apologize, Lori, I don't remember your partner's name right off the top of my head. Galbraith, I believe the gentleman's last name was. And then third place goes to Rick Green, the host of Backwater Casting here in New Brunswick on Rogers Cable, and Phil Barrett, the owner of Phil's Recreation in Lincoln. So your top, and I believe their weight was 12.8 pounds. So for us, for Jason and I, I'd have to go back and look at the leaderboard exactly, but one 3-pounder would have been the difference between a tie for 19th and a top 10 finish in the 7th or 8th place range. So that one kicker fish that we just couldn't find, we had one spot left to try, and had a mechanical failure on our way to that one spot before weigh-in. So luckily there was another boat in the vicinity, Jason Beckett and Brian Beckett, friends of ours for years. We all are from the same area. Luckily for us, they were within sight of us when we started having mechanical trouble, and they came to the rescue and came over and allowed me to jump on their boat with our fish, and they ran me in to weigh in, and then Jason went back out and towed our boat back in. So a big tip of the hat to them, and that's one of the things I love about bass fishing is, yes, in this case it was people we've known our whole lives, but it wouldn't have mattered who it was. The sportsmanship amongst the competitors excuse me, is just phenomenal. Wouldn't have mattered who was there. There isn't an angler on our series that would not have come over and given us that assistance. or I'd like to think there isn't anyways. There isn't out of the guys that I associate with on a regular basis. I'd like to think that there isn't an angler on the tour at all that would leave somebody stranded like that, especially that close to weigh-in. So, but so all in all for us, definitely a learning day. I had an opportunity to pre-fish and came up empty-handed the week before, so our plan A went out the window, and plan B was left to a little advice from a friend for a starting spot, and then after that we went searching. We went exploring water we have never thrown a line into before, and it wasn't producing monsters, but it produced fish, and a good enough quality fish to give us a top 20 finish. So I'm not going to complain about the way the day went for sure. And it goes back to what I discussed last week about the mental aspect of it. Jason and I went into the day, we had discussed on Thursday and Friday leading up to the event, we had discussed a game plan. And when you're not catching big fish, it's, if you jump on a spot and all of a sudden you're hooking into anything, 2 3/4 pounds and better, at an event where 13, 14 pounds is normally going to win it, it's real easy to say, okay, everything's working. But when you're catching the fish that are 1.5 pounds to the 2 pound range, it's, well, they're not what we need. We know we're not going to win. It's real easy to get off of that game plan. But we went into it with a game plan, and I am happy to say we stuck to that game plan. We hit the spots that we said we were going to target. There was, like I say, it was areas we had never actually fished before, but we had talked about fishing. So we stayed focused, we stayed on our game plan, and we got a top 20 finish out. Like I said, would I love to? I'd love to cash a check. Always love to cash a check. But at the same time, we stuck to our game plan. We learned some spots. We found some spots, and they're worth exploring further on a day when the pressure of the tournament isn't there. And that's what it's all about. We didn't go following other boats around saying, well, where's this guy fishing and where's that guy fishing? We went and found spots that nobody else was on and explored them. And like I said, it goes back to what I discussed last week about the mental aspect of it, staying focused. If you get rattled and you start, you throw 3 casts, there's nothing here. Well, no, you don't want to waste, excuse me, you don't want to waste time on spots that aren't producing. But at the same time, just because you throw 3 or 4 casts doesn't mean there's nothing there. You have to find that happy medium. You have to allow yourself to stay focused enough to find that happy medium. You need, how do I put this? You need to grind it out. I hate that. That term's getting used a lot, and I use it a lot. When it's a rough day, it's a hard day on the water, it's a grind. Well, yeah, you need to grind it out. The bites are there. The bites are there. If you're finding a spot that has the structure, you can see the bait fish breaking at the surface, and the food source is there. Okay, there's going to be fish there. But are you throwing you throw 3 or 4 casts, well, did you throw the right bait? Did you throw what they wanted? Just because you were catching them on color A at your first spot doesn't mean they're going to bite color A at this next spot. So you may throw the right bait, you may throw the wrong color. Change it up. Jason and I very seldom ever run the same color on our line, at least starting into a spot. Now that being said, if I have, I like everybody, we have colors that we use probably a little too much. But if I use color A on my line and he's using color B, and then all of a sudden I'm getting 3 or 4 quick bites and he's getting nothing, well then yeah, he's going to change, and he's going to come not necessarily to exactly what I'm throwing, but to something similar to what I'm throwing. Because there have been times where all of a sudden my bite goes cold, but he's on something just a little bit different, similar, but just a little bit different, and he'll continue to get bit. You know, so it's a constant process. It is a mental game as much, if not more, than the physical aspect of it. You know, for anyone, people that say, oh, well, it's, you know, anybody can go catch fish. Yes, anybody can go catch fish. But not anybody can keep their head in the game when the bite goes cold. Not anybody is going to be able to keep their focus and keep their determination. When you're out fun fishing, it doesn't really matter. You know, you throw a bait in the water and you sit down and you have a sandwich or something to drink, or, you know, it doesn't matter. The pressure's not there. But when you are tournament fishing, the pressure is what breaks most people. And as I've said before, Jason and I did it a couple times last year, and we hurt ourselves in a big way because we couldn't stick to our game plan, because we allowed ourselves to get rattled. And I'm happy to say that so far this year, we have been much better in that respect. It's a learning process, and we took some lumps last year. We took some big lumps last year because we didn't take the time. I'm not going to say we didn't take the time to learn, because we've obviously learned from it, but we didn't take the time to slow down last year and think. It was run and gun all the time. And if you know spots and you are, you know, have years and years of experience behind your belt, and you have a multitude of spots that, okay, I caught them here this year, I caught them in this spot the year before, and in that spot the year before. So it can be very cyclical. So they can be here this year, but not there next year. Well, if you've got another spot that you were at 2 years ago, well, you can go back to that spot. But if you don't have the abundance of knowledge, if you're new to this, and that's the group of people I want to speak to the most, is people who are new to this. Because it's very easy to become discouraged. And I don't want to see people leave the sport because they're not catching fish. It's the same as anything. You don't get your first year playing hockey or your first year playing baseball that you're going to be the all-star. You know, that you're going to be MVP of your league or your team. It doesn't happen. It takes years and years and years of practice. And yes, there are all kinds of people who have spent years and years fishing. But once they make that switch, they turn that corner into tournament fishing, it changes the game. It changes it entirely. Because now you're not just going out catching fish for fun or catching fish for a little feed on your table. You're catching fish and there's money on it. And that, I don't care who you are, that changes the way people think. So, holy lifting. I just looked down and I'm down to 30 seconds left on my 15-minute segment, folks. We're going to take a little break. We'll come back with another episode. Thanks again, Fish Bum Outfitters, Carrot Sticks, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, Hooked on Canadian Angling, my wife and my son. Thank you all for listening. Tune in again for episode 2 that will be coming later today or first thing tomorrow morning, just depending on how my day goes. Set the hook and keep those lines tight.